I think that the film takes many references, in the structure of the myths, of the Greek myths, and the codes of the gangster film, but also in the Western. But when we find this history and wanted to construct, we knew that we have to be very loyal to the tradition for one side, to the knowledge of this community, and to the history by the other side, and with these elements, and we construct our own way to show the movie, and to have all of these elements and the reality and the consciousness in this film, because it was something very particular from the Wayuu community, that is like this, and all of this word of Garcia Marquez that you can see. And yes, we have many references to put together in this film in an harmonic and real way for us.
Yeah, we're not going after a certain realism. We are interested in the way that people, like for example the Wayuu people, take reality and turn it into myth. And the Hayechi song, which is what we took inspiration for the structure of the film, is the way that they organize the story and the way they transmit it. It works as literature for them, and each song tells a specific theme and a specific story. So the idea of being the film being one long Hayechi song was something that we felt was right for the narrative. Is the way the Wayuu people would have used to turn this story, but also we were interested in the way in Western narrative we do myth, which is essentially through the codes of genre, through the established codes of this certain type of films, which are our own myth making. So the film is building a bridge between the two narratives, so that it's truthful to the Wayuu way of telling stories, but also understandable and accessible to a person who is not Wayuu, to an alihuna. I do.
I think it's yes. You find we try to find the code, but you cannot make a copy paste. You need to go deep in your history to transmit this point of view in a way that the audience can comprehend and appropriate of this myth.
Yeah, for me it's the same. It's basically the same that people used to do when we were in the 30,000 years ago, when we were in the caverns. We would sit together around the fire, and there will be a storyteller telling a story using light and shadow. I think we do the same still. The technology has changed and we use different tools, but the spirit remains the same. And I personally feel very connected to that tradition of storytelling, in which we try to organize the truth or the events in which are disorganized and make no sense and have no point, and we try to organize them through myth to try to understand them. I personally see no difference between what we used to do back then and what we would do now, and I am always looking for these stories that connect to the eternal nature of the human being. And I think that's what great storytelling does. That is what great storytelling is about, and what I take my inspiration from.
Yes, the thing is that we wanted to approach to this part of the history, no, and we wanted to approach to this genre of film. But when we arrived to this society, and this society that it's not a matriarchal society, it's a matrilineal society, but it's a society where the women are very strong, in politics and in economic and in commerce, and we were thinking how what happened, because we are not represented in the cinema, no, and we wanted to construct that female character, but it was also a complex character because all the time you don't know if yes she is trying to keep the family together, but it's also like a villain to keep all of this, no, and it's a woman that all the thing all the time is has this conflict, no, of the powerful, but be so strong, but so intuitive, but finally she didn't take action, no, she pushed from the back, no, but and at the end she's she lost everything, no, and yes, I think it's a very complex character, and for me the film also it's in between the conflicts, the family conflicts, no, and the power of men's and women's, and the intuition and ration, and the brutality, no, of the actions, and the women that lived alone, no, and have to start again alone. Yes.
Yes, so it was subversive on both ways because while we were doing the research of this story, we realized that the role of women have been completely deleted from history, even though that through all the testimonials we had, we knew that there were very strong women taking part during the Bonanza Marimbera, but that story had been completely deleted as Wayuu culture tends to be very macho, very machistic, and also in genres of cinema, usually the role of women is tremendously put behind. So we wanted to subvert both things and bring a female story to the front, and it's true to the reality, but it's something that in the way that this story has been told has always been kept in the background or as part of or not given the importance that it's, and you know, to do a genre story with such strong female characters, you know, it was a way of adding something new to the myth. But if you do it, if you are true to the Wayuu community, you know, the women are very strong in the community, they have a lot of power and they make a lot of the decisions, and their intuitive way of thinking is what leads the way. So it was not giving the women the most advantage point in the story would have been untrue. Yeah, Wayuu culture is tremendously complex, but they have achieved balance through a very strict set of rules, which can be arbitrary, which can be unfair, and we didn't want to shy away from that. We don't think indigenous culture should be idealized because it's a way of dehumanizing indigenous culture. You know, the indigenous culture is as complex and it has as much shade and brightness as any other culture. So it's important that their portrayal remains human always in that complexity. If you deny the complexity of the indigenous experience, then you are denying them their humanity. So that's not something that we want to do. But definitely this it's a violent world in which the Wayuu people live. They have lived through smuggling and through contraband for centuries, and it's the way that they have found to survive in this extremely harsh landscape. But and they have achieved a certain set of rules, a certain rules of behavior that keep life in balance and keep violence from popping up. And when this most pure form of capitalism arrives in such a savage way, everything is constrained and and that's the conflict that we wanted to address.
Yes, and something that we find that was amazing in this culture, in this indigenous culture, is that yes, you can see the traditions and the honor and all of this, and to keep the balance. But it's also an indigenous culture, but it's the most capitalist culture that you could imagine. because all the things has value. No, you can commerce with the honor, with commerce with the woman, with you can, for example, when the woman became when a girl became a woman, is hiding, no, and as much time she is hiding, as high the price will be to pay for her. So, but you in the Wayuu culture you pay for everything, no, and this is something very amazing, how a traditional culture is also a very capitalistic culture, but I think that is the basis of the humanity. No, when we start to be building communities, the first thing is start with commerce to deal with the things, and this is a very human construction, no, a mythological and a construction. We started this research or knowing about this history 10 years ago. We made a film in the north of Colombia, who was the Wind Journeys, and at that time, that is set in the start of this period, in the 68, it was the same year that the start the things of the bonanza. We have heard many histories about what happened, and it was very strange because it wasn't it wasn't told before in the cinema. And as we approach to this culture of the north of Colombia and this kind of tradition that they has, and this code, honor codes, and it was something very interesting for us, and we made some research at that moment, but also the approximation to this thing in the film was through for example, through the literature of García Marquez. García Marquez, when you read 100 Years of Solitude, you don't know that it's written in Wayuu codes, no? And all of this magic realism is written in Wayuu codes, and we could approach to that word from things that we knew before, no, and from things that you knew from the psychoanalysis and the dreams and the interpretation and the relation with the psyche and the nature and also these inconsciousness elements. No, the birds in the cultures, and you can see that in the Wayuu culture also. So we approximate to them from outside, but because we were connecting things.
Yeah, the story is deeply related to Wayuu people. We couldn't tell it from, it's not like a story that happened to other people. It happened to them and to all of the Colombian Caribbean in general at the time. So basically, yeah, when we came upon the story, we found it fascinating. We thought it had elements of great drama all around, and we wanted it to be what was going to make it unique was that it was going to be very authentic, very deeply rooted in Wayuu culture. So we worked with them a lot. They became part of the crew. About an important percentage of the crew was Wayuu people who are learning about cinema and filmmaking because they want to tell their own stories through that. And a big part of the cast is Wayuu, and there was always someone telling us, or throughout the process of writing, or there was always someone advising us in what was right and what was true. So yeah, we wouldn't have, and they wouldn't have done anything that they didn't feel was right.
Because they will be cursed. Yes, yeah. And we, we need to be very, very loyal to the traditions.
Yeah.